Okay, so at this point, what was happening is I wasn't able to move this part. The input shaft here, it won't come out for some reason. There's probably some inner mechanism there where it's stuck. I mean, not stuck, but I don't think it's supposed to come out this way. It'll reveal itself once I remove this. At this point it's already coming out here, but what's happening is the transmission is supposed to be neutral so that you can move this side of the shaft. You know, there's two halves. You know, you may think that this goes all the way here, but it doesn't. This piece is separated from this piece, alright? Otherwise, you know, if it was together, then you know, whatever speed you had here, it would go here, and the car would be a single speed. Now this has to be separated so that you can shift through various gears, and the output here is different than here. So you know, that proves it's possible for two sides of the same piece of a pipe, or you know, solid pipe, spin at different speeds, right? So therefore they must be separated. But what was happening is the transmission was in gear, and it was hard. I mean, it wasn't possible to shift it through here. So what I had to do is I had to get a block of wood and hit it that way. You know, hit this gear. It was this big gear here. I could see it and feel it. I know this side is in neutral because you can see the both of the sides of the brass. You see the brass gears. These are called the synchronizing gears, or the meshing gears. And if you can see both sides of them, that means that this gear is not being used. So I know that this gear here, this shifter here, is in neutral. If it was in order for it not to be in neutral, it'll have to go that way or this way, and by going either way, it would cover up the synchro mesh gears, right? So I know that this one isn't. This one was in neutral, but this one here, it was connected to here, it was together. Now there's a gap here because I was tapping it, right? And actually now it's so smooth after a few minutes that I can now shift it with the through the shifter. I'll show you here. Still won't go all the way to the end because there's a lot of junk on the gears at the bottom, but I might not shift now because it's all, you know, out of place. And I'll see that this is coming out and there's a big gap here. So yeah, I was just going to show you that you should, you know, tap here. Now it'll go that way. See, it's going. You see that it's actually turning there quite easily, right? Let's see if it'll shift. Yeah, move too far back now, it might not shift back. But I mean, take my word for it, I guess. Yeah, I just got a hammer, block of wood. Once again, hit it one side and then hit it back the other side, and dumping, you know, oil or diesel in there all the way. And don't try to hit it all at once. Now, if for whatever reason, you know, maybe you're working a modern transmission, these things won't move at all, then I mean, you might have to remove the there's a shaft here, a shaft there. You might have to remove either of those, maybe remove the shifters or something like that. But with these antiques, you know, will come out and you'll see that's spinning nicely now. As you can see, it'll come out easily in just a bit. But yeah, so if this gear, this big gear here, is touching this other gear here, that means the transmission isn't in neutral. Right? There's supposed to be a gap there, and you can actually feel it with your fingers that the gears are touching. Or if it's all the way to the left side here, to the left here, then it's in reverse. Okay, so this here is in neutral, and it'll come out in just a bit. Set the camera down. be able to get to the top. I'm curious to see what stops this from coming out. You could look at the manual, but I'm going to remove it gently because I don't want the needle bearings to fall. It's no problem, it's no big deal if they fall. I'm going to incline it like this. And oh yeah, and then you'll have to shift the one of the transmissions that way, this side that way, so that it clears off. I'm using a 5/16 is the size of the shifter here. Now, because it's all, you know, as you're removing, it's all twisted and that you might not shift. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap it with a block of wood. Just make sure it's going. You know, it doesn't require a lot of force. There's a lot of grinding, you know, from this thing. There's a little trick. See, it's almost empty. That if I tilt it, the pipe that gets it there, it's not there. But actually, this one, I can. So you just need to twist it so that the pipe at the bottom is, you know, on the lower side. So now it'll work. Or you can just tilt it up, give it a couple squirts, and then it'll fill up the pipe, and then you tilt it back down. Just move it the other way. The thing is, it's not just the gears. There's a piece of metal in between the shifters. Let's see. Might not be able to show it to you here. It's a little cylinder between them, and which doesn't allow you to engage third gear while you're in first gear. So what it does is you can only engage one gear, 2 gears at a time. So you can either engage one side, you can either engage, you know, first gear or reverse, and on the other side, second or third. If you didn't have that, then, like, let's say you're in first gear, you could accidentally shift it all the way to third gear. Right, that would be, or you could be in third gear and you could shift it all the way to reverse. That would obviously, you know, destroy gears. So, let's see if I can show you the little pipe there. There it is. See there, the little shiny part? See that there's half of a shiny part on the left side there, left on, and another shiny part on the right side. And as you remove the shifter, there's little slots on the that big piece of sort of rounded steel there. There you go. You see the slot there? That's the slot there. And that little cylinder doesn't allow the shifter to turn. I'm just having to play with this here. So I gotta remove this. I gotta remove this here. This here either that way or this way, so that I can tilt this whole shaft here this way, so that this whole thing will come out that way. Gears and all on them. Here, I'm going to show you what a modern transmission looks like. Look at this. It's fucking complicated. Look at that. See, it's impossible to remove them. You have to remove them one at a time. Look at this. See, these don't come out. Look. Fucking shit, man. It's from a Honda Civic, by the way. Material is pretty good, I mean, but see, one inside the other, really fucking complicated. Oh, there's these gears here. Now, there's a bearing there. It's useful for something. I like to keep these gears. I love gears. I don't know why. There's all pretty good condition. I don't know. Maybe one of these fits in one of these classic transmissions. I don't know. Who knows? Highly unlikely. There's a shifter there. Yeah. But can't really show you here because I tore the case, the housing, to pieces. It's fucking aluminum. You could easily break it. This here, I'd like to see you try to break that. Cast iron. Good luck. So yeah, at least you can see the shaft, one of the shafts there, how complicated it is. This here, the whole shaft, with all the gears, just comes out. That one, holy fuck. Could have perhaps done a video on it, but I'm not sure it's neutral anymore. We should go that way. If it's not exactly in between, you know, it's not exactly neutral, it won't move. Exactly in the middle, exactly neutral. Let's shift this. So move this gear back. I'm forced it because I know there's the bottom gear. It's gotta be. That's where I gotta twist it around. Engages the bottom gear. Let's see if I push it back here this side. I'm trying to see the slot there. It's neutral. This shifter here might be stuck as well. But it is moving, so it is in neutral. Yeah, I just gotta take it out of there. Move this way now because there's just so much dirt on the synchro mesh gears that it's not really synchronize it at all, you know. I don't want to force it. It's actually synchronized now, but I don't want it. Oh fuck. Another thing, you know, unfortunately the manual it shows an ideal situation of a new transmission. If this was like brand new and nice and clean, we wouldn't be having this problem. But you know, it's got so much junk in it, and the manual doesn't really cover that kind of situations. It's not, you know, a restoration. This here, by now, this here moves in and out by hand. It's not moving in and out so easily now because it's all twisted. Just put it back in its spot. Yeah, I should have perhaps put a couple of bolts here. That manual mentions that, so that, you know, it wasn't necessary at this stage, but I should have put some so that I could clean this off a little bit. Now I don't know. That's in neutral, because yeah, it is in neutral right now. Because I'm turning this shaft here and this one isn't turning. See, turning the rear shaft and the front one ain't turning. So that is neutral. It's, you know, it's in neutral, but this whole thing is shifted. So magic unseizing liquid in here. I think that this gear here on this side here, on the gear, there's a gear right on this bearing. The gear, and you'll see this comes out, but with the twisting movement. That's because I think it's sitting right on top of another gear here at the bottom, and it won't come out completely because of the synchro mesh gear. That's my theory here. It's suspecting there. It's actually on the synchro mesh gear now. At least the shifter is moving. It's just not just the ring that goes. That it goes around. It goes around this big ring here. It's not moving. this doesn't separate. It's supposed to separate. Let's put it back in. Let's back together. Just put everything back together. I can hear it's round. It's not really a big deal. Tap with the hammer. You know, I'm just tapping lightly. So don't give me shit. Let's hit it now. See if I shift this back in here. Dirt. Oh yeah, and there's a twisted, how can I say, there's a, I'm not sure what it's called, shaft. There's like a track, I guess you could call, where the gear goes. So like right here. And it's not straight, it's twisted, so just make sure you're tapping, you know, in the direction of the twist. See there, you can see here too. Tapping against the twist, then you know. I think it's neutral anymore. Tapping that rail in and out. See, one direction then the other. Dump the diesel in. I think most people, they'll, I mean, at least now you appreciate what somebody does, what they go through when they're restoring these transmissions. That's why I doubt that they'll ever get one that was as seized as this. Still in great condition, you know. But I mean, it's just the amount of time often makes the price too expensive. In my case, I have more time than I have money here, so. Okay, I'm gonna end the video here. And I'll get back to you.